If you were living in a village in peace, in harmony with your people, and some outsider came to disrupt that peace and pit you against each other, would you not stand up and say something? Would you not do something? I'm asking you. So with that being said, I feel an obligation to address this. I addressed it before, and it was my intention to leave it alone and step away. And this thing is growing. It's metastasizing. The whole issue about Puerto Ricans and their involvement or lack of involvement in the genesis of hip-hop.
Today, people want to downplay the Latino role in hip-hop. Yep. They are so stupid.
Yep.
Really? Hip-hop would not have existed without specifically Puerto Rican. Specifically. Cubans were here, Haitians were here, Dominican Republic was here, everybody was here. All of South America been in the Bronx, okay? But Puerto Ricans in particular sided with the black folk here, and the Jamaicans were coming in as well. And this group of Puerto Ricans, Jamaicans, and American blacks made hip hop. Not American blacks, not Puerto Ricans, not Jamaicans. All of them made the culture.
But I have to come to the defense of Fat Joe. Because Fat Joe spoke truth. He didn't say anything wrong.
What I'm trying to tell you is that this opinion comes from a tribe.
Right.
It comes from a group of people that hate everybody but them. You know, there's radical Jews, there's radical Catholics, there's radical Puerto Ricans.
Right.
There's radical anything. If you do enough of that shit, enough of in-house racism, you wind up looking at the world fucked up and you can't even move around.
Right.
You understand? So that's how this shit come about. These guys don't like nobody but them. So hey, fuck that. This guy, well, how could he say this? How could he? Bro, have you been to my hood? Do you know where I'm from? You know, we did my brother's funerals. More black people than Spanish people at the funeral sitting next to my mother. Do you know where the fuck I'm from? But you trying to tell us what happened over here. All the legends I know, when I go to the legendary shit, they're all black and Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
Would you rather a sweet lie or a bitter truth? I'm asking. Because to get to the truth, sometimes your feelings may have to be hurt. To get to the truth, sometimes you may have to hear some uncomfortable things. If you are too sensitive, if you cannot handle certain things and you can't handle the truth, you can get off this video right now. Because we're going to speak truth. And that's what we always strive to do. And on the other hand, if you strive to get truth, if you strive to learn the truth, stay on this video to the very end. Now, thousands of things can be true at once. And one thing that we have to come to the realization of that is long overdue to have been said is that anybody can be a racist. Racism is not exclusive to white people. A black person can also be a racist. A Puerto Rican person can also be a racist. An Indian person, a Chinese person, an Arab. Those can also all be racist. All racism really means is viewing things through the lens of race above all else, which when you think about it is really idiotic because you have a wide array, an endless array, really, which is why we can't know everything, an endless array of things to consider when making any decision. So to just take race and use that to zero in on the entire big picture is just foolish. So that's what a racist is. And yes, you do have black racists.
Sometimes I say shit I've been saying for years. And the shit just go, you believe Fat Joe said hip hop was Puerto Rican and black? Whoa! My God, the world changed on me, nigga. I'm like, yo!
You know what?
Where you been?
Let's get into that. Because I think people outside of New York, it's hard for them to understand, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Trinidadians, Jamaicans, Guyanese.
First of all, let's start by this. Let's start by this.
Around each other.
Let's start by this. These rumors were made by radical black racists. Let's just say that. Okay? It's a group of these guys that don't want to hear Jamaican, don't want to hear Guyanese, they don't want to hear a black guy that ain't down with them. Right? So their job is to criticize anybody who don't look like them or who ain't black American.
Who are these guys?
You want me to say their name? We're going to give them too much clout.
I mean,
the FBA, Foundational Black Authority, whoever the fuck these broke niggas is. I'm just keeping it a buck. And their shit is to attack everybody on Twitter. You see this nigga who run them? Like, your leader? Oh, man, you gotta be fucking kidding me, man. And so they trying to change the narrative. They're not from New York.
Right.
So they telling a whole nother story. This was whoopity doop wop. Yo, bro. Far as I know, we're at Yankee Stadium right now, and it's hip hop's 50th birthday. And the guy who invented it, Grandmaster Flash, my brother carried his crates. So they have a big problem, these guys, right? So they're against anybody who ain't with them. So this ain't a popular message. This ain't what everybody's saying. We might be giving them too much light right here is what I'm trying to tell you. So there's a small minority that get on them Twitters and they running it up.
And this is what Fat Joe was saying on the podcast. He was not wrong. And not only that, but that's a big part of the problem in this debate right now. Because you have racists who just so happen to be black American who are using the bitterness, frustration, and tragedy that certain people, black Americans, are going through, and using that to stir up feelings of resentment to create a movement. The sad and disgusting part is that this movement isn't benefiting anyone except for the person who started it. Which leads me back to the story of the origin of hip-hop. Now, let me say, I rapped for many years. I've been doing this since as far back as I can remember. And a big part of the hip-hop culture, not so much anymore, except for guys like Papoose, he's the last of a dying breed, but a big part for many, many years, most of its existence has been the 5% Nation, now technically known as the Nation of Gods and Earths. And I just want to tell you, they have a model that you could use to view the world. And all these years later, I studied under them for some years, by the way, and all these years later, I found that it is a very effective model when you want to analyze the world or any sort of landscape as far as a group or any sort of institution, any group of people. 100% of them can be subdivided in 3 parts. The first part is 85% of those people are generally there for whatever reason. They don't truly know the inner workings of the organization or the place that they're involved in, but they're there for whatever reason, blindly. It doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing, but they're blindly there, okay? Number 2, you have the 10%. Now, the 10% of that 100% population, 10% of that population actually knows the inner workings of that particular institution. They know the true dealings of what's going on. And what they do is they use it to their advantage against the 85% who doesn't know what the hell is going on. So they use that knowledge to manipulate the 85% for their benefit. And lastly, number 3, you have the 5% who also know the true dealings and the inner workings and the ins and outs of the particular institution we're talking about, but they use it to uplift the 85%, to bring them out of that state of just ignorance, or bring them out of that fantasy world and bring them to the light of the truth. So this whole debate really started because you have people, a specific person, who's basically what we would call in hip-hop back in the day, a 10%er. This guy is, I don't say the name because I don't want to shed any light, really, any direct light on these platforms. So I feel like they're extremely harmful and they're devilish. And they're dangerous. they can be very dangerous. And so this guy is bright. Don't get it twisted. Don't get me wrong. This guy is definitely bright, far from dumb. And that's the problem, because he knows the truth, but he's stirring up strife amongst the people to get a movement going to sell his product. He's pitting one group of people against another group of people, and they're bickering, and all this fuss and all this drama online. Meanwhile, he's laughing his way to the bank. And it's sad because people from New York, the legend, some of the pioneers, they're standing behind this guy, knowing that what he's saying is false. I'm a complete embodiment of it. I'm black and Puerto Rican, and I was born in the same period hip-hop started in the mid-70s, and I was born in the South Bronx. Black Americans and Puerto Ricans have always mingled amongst each other. That's a fact. I grew up in Spanish Harlem. It's blacks and Puerto Ricans. All my friends, if you were to look through my phone now, all my closest friends and all the people that I communicate with on a regular basis are people that I knew from when I was in the single digits. Like when I was a kid, a child, that we grew up together. And if you look, all of them are black and Puerto Rican. So if you have a place, the South Bronx, which is actually predominantly Puerto Ricans, may have had the edge population-wise, was blacks and Puerto Ricans, and they're mingling together, going to school together, growing up together, playing together, visiting each other. How the hell are you going to tell me a movement is made? Yes, black people created it, yes. But how are you going to tell me Puerto Ricans didn't play a part? Furthermore, if you look at all the old pictures of back in the day when hip-hop was being created and taking shape, you usually see 1 or 2 Puerto Ricans or more in all the pictures. Why is this so hard? Like, nobody's saying, oh, hip-hop is a Puerto Rican form of music. No, but did take part in shaping this thing. Why is this so hard? I can understand why Black Americans would feel defensive because of what happened, how the blues was stolen, turned into rock, and other similar situations. So I get it, I understand it. But my thing is, like, don't let these devils come in from out of nowhere and divide the people. Let's work it out amongst each other as we've been doing. KRS-One has always been considered the teacher, an elder, so to speak, in hip-hop. Not even in reference of age, because even when he was younger, he was considered, one of the quote-unquote wise men, one of the council, one of our brightest minds. He had people stop eating meat for many years. He had people stop eating meat because of the knowledge that he was displaying, the knowledge he was bringing forth in his songs. And had respect on the street, in the city, among the community. So why now we're going to disown KRS-One? Because he said that Puerto Ricans and Hispanics played a significant role in the shaping of hip-hop? That's just the truth. So why wouldn't we listen to KRS-One? Now you have people throwing him under the bus. You have people in the hip hop community, credible people, blatantly disrespecting KRS-One. All from this one individual who's trying to sell products at other people's expense. He doesn't care if there's gonna be an ethnic war, a race war. He doesn't care. He'll be sitting pretty up in his mansion somewhere while people are going through it on the street, in the prison systems. That's what can unfold from this thing. It can be very dangerous. So let's not let outsiders come here into New York City culture and dictate to us what is and what's not, and put us against each other and divide the people. We're better than that.